into a rather heartwarming story. A young Nairobi journalist is undoubtedly an unsung hero. We are talking about Victor Muyakane, a journalist with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. At the Supreme Court yesterday, Victor physically carried a person with a disability to help him escape a swarm of bees that descended on the journalist and onlookers during the delivery of the full judgment of the NASA petition against President Uhuru Kenyatta's re-election. Raquel Mugai has this story.
The Supreme Court judge's detailed judgment on the annulled presidential election results was one that attracted the attention of everyone and literally everything, including a swarm of bees that soon became supreme outside the highest court in the land. Police officers' first instinct was to scatter the bees by throwing tear gas canisters, a response that at least saved a majority who now had a major reason to run away from the scene. As everyone took to their heels to also save themselves from the toxic bee stings, one Victor Muyakane, however, opted to rush right into their direction. For him, it was to respond to the cries of anguish that echoed around the scene of terror from a person with disability who could not save himself.
I think the bees, when they couldn't find any other targets, they just landed on him. I saw hundreds of bees around him, his face, his head. He's got hydrocephalus, so he's got everywhere, all over him. His upper torso was just bees. The next thing I remember, I was halfway across the road and I was on him. And I just picked him up together with the bees. And so we started to cross the road back towards where the police were.
His immediate rush into action meant that Victor was not at all prepared for what exactly was to befall him, as he was also not spared from the unpleasant stings from the bees.
By that time, I couldn't see myself because the bees were all over. Like I was trying to cover him, I was carrying him like this, and there were bees all over. His face, my face, everywhere. And I was trying to calm him down, but you know, speaking meant the bees were coming into my mouth, into my nose, they stung me inside my ears, everything. And him as well.
It was not an easy task, however, as just as they had crossed the road, they both fell down, exposing themselves to the bees. But with the help of others at the scene, he managed to get back on his feet and together with the others rushed the helpless boy to safety before getting first aid thereafter. It was a daring act that earned Victor, a journalist who was in the line of duty, heaps of praises from many Kenyans as he instantly became an online sensation after he was captured rescuing the young man.
This is a very good example of a very kind-hearted man.
Moreover, Kenya Reinsurance Company, a major campaigner for persons with disability, also came out to appreciate his selfless deed.
That's a very, very good gesture, and we encourage other people to continue like that, because people living with disability are just people like you and I, and there are people who need you and I so that they can be able to also live normal lives like us.
Victor still has occasional bouts of pain since the attack, even after treatment, and he maintains that his actions were just what anyone else could have done.
I just probably happened to be the first on the scene. The thing is, we are all led by the Spirit of God, so I think I just responded quicker than the next person. And then there were a bunch of people that came afterwards that took care of him, so they also did a great thing.
Victor Muyakane's deed was indeed charitable and selfless. It was simply an act of humanity. Raquel Mugai, KTN News, Nairobi.
Good stuff.